So, you work with AI. That means you're not just a developer or a data scientist. You're a guardian of data. And in today's world, knowing how to protect that data isn't just a nice-to-have skill. It's absolutely essential for survival. Every single AI project kicks off with data. And when you get that perfect data set, it can feel like you've struck gold. But here's the question you have to ask yourself. Is it really a gold mine that's going to build incredible value? Or is it a landmine just sitting there, waiting to blow your entire project sky high? And look, if it is a landmine, the consequences are no joke. We're talking about massive, company-crippling fines, endless legal battles that drain all your time and money, and maybe worst of all, a complete loss of trust from your users. Trust you might never, ever get back. This isn't just a tech problem, it's a business survival issue. So how do you actually walk through this minefield without setting anything off? Well, you use this simple framework, a 5-question safety check. This is going to be your guide, your map, to make sure your AI's data stays a priceless asset, not a catastrophic liability. Let's walk through it together. Okay, question number 1 is the most fundamental of all, the right to use. Before you write a single line of code, before you even think about training a model, you have to stop and ask, do we even have the legal right to be using this data in the first place? Here's an easy way to think about it. Imagine you're building a house. Your right to use the data, that's the deed to the land. I mean, it doesn't matter how amazing or beautiful your house is if you build it on someone else's property, right? It's a recipe for absolute disaster. So how do you make sure you have that deed? You need a checklist. You've got to review the data ownership and licensing terms. Can you actually use it for AI training? Some licenses flat out forbid it. You got to check for any weird limitations from vendors and validate the rights for any third-party data you're pulling in. And here's the key takeaway. When in doubt, talk to your legal team. Seriously, they are your best friends in this part of the process. All right, you've got the deed to the land. You're legit. Now it's time for question 2, following the rules. This is all about making sure you're compliant with that huge, sprawling web of regulations and policies that govern data. Let's go back to our house analogy. These regulations, they're your building codes. You wouldn't build a house without following the proper electrical and plumbing codes, would you? Of course not. It would be unsafe, unstable, and totally illegal. It's the exact same thing for your AI. These rules aren't there to slow you down. They exist to make sure your project is safe, secure, and built with integrity. And yeah, the regulatory landscape is, well, it's a lot. It can feel like a total alphabet soup of rules, right? You've got these huge external ones like GDPR and CCPA. You've got industry-specific ones like HIPAA. And then, of course, you have your own internal company policies. The goal isn't to memorize every single one, but to know they're out there and to have a solid strategy to comply with them. Okay, so we own the land and we've followed all the building codes. That brings us to question 3. Who gets the keys? Now it's time to actually protect the house itself by controlling who can get inside, who can access the data, and what they can do with it once they're in. The big idea here is something called role-based access control, or RBAC for short. The analogy is just perfect. You don't give everyone who walks into your house a key to every single room. The plumber gets a key to the bathroom, not your master bedroom, right? RBAC applies that same exact logic to data, giving people access only to what they absolutely need to do their job. It's called the principle of least privilege. And this goes way beyond just assigning roles. We're talking about enforcing strong security measures like multi-factor authentication. We're talking about using data masking or encryption to make the data totally unreadable to anyone who shouldn't see it. And critically, it means you're actively monitoring access logs to see who's opening which doors and when. Security is never a set it and forget it kind of thing. It's a constant, ongoing process. Okay, let's recap. Our house is built on the right land, it's up to code, and the doors are locked. Now for question 4, we have to get proactive. We need to be assessing the risk. Have we really truly thought about and evaluated the privacy impact of what we're building? This is exactly where a privacy impact assessment, or a PIA, comes into play. Think of it like a home inspection for your AI project. A good home inspector finds that little leaky pipe or that one faulty wire before it causes a massive flood or a fire. A PIA does the exact same thing for privacy risks. It finds those potential problems before they can become catastrophic, project-ending failures. Now, 2 of the key tools your home inspector might recommend are anonymization and pseudonymization. They sound similar, but they're very different. With anonymization, you permanently shred all personally identifiable information. It's gone. Poof. Re-identifying someone is impossible. With pseudonymization, you're just swapping out personal info with a placeholder, a pseudonym. So John Smith might become user123. The key difference is that this one can be reversed if you have the right key, which gives you a bit more flexibility. Understanding this distinction is absolutely vital for managing risk. And that leads us right to our fifth and final question, proving your work. After all this, after all the checklists and the code following and the key managing, can you actually trace your data's entire journey from the very beginning to the very end? This is all about documentation, transparency, and being ready for an audit at a moment's notice. This is where the concept of data lineage becomes so important. If our project is a house, data lineage is the official, stamped and approved blueprint. It shows auditors, regulators, or even your future self exactly how the data was sourced, how it was transformed, and how it was used, from the concrete foundation all the way up to the shingles on the roof. So this journey basically has 4 key stops. It starts at the source system. Where did this data even come from? Then comes the transformation. What did you do to it? Did you clean it, prep it, engineer new features? Next is the model training and usage. How exactly was this data used to build and test your model? Tracking all of this, step by step, creates that complete audit trail. And that is your ultimate proof that you did your due diligence. So why do we ask these 5 questions? Why go to all the trouble of securing the deed, following the building codes, controlling the keys, inspecting for risks, and keeping the blueprints? At the end of the day, it all comes down to one simple, powerful goal: supporting AI that is trusted, compliant, and ethical. That is the real goldmine. So I'll just leave you with this one last thought. We talk a lot about the amazing features of AI, its accuracy, its speed, its predictive power. But as we move forward, maybe the single most important feature isn't what the AI can do, but how clearly we can see how it does it. In this age of AI, you have to wonder, is transparency the ultimate feature?